Hello and welcome back to the bar. We're now officially over halfway through our cocktail series with the Prime videos. That is obviously excluding all the flavours like Metamoon, Lemonade, Grape, KSI one and Glowberry. So there are 5 there that I have not got and probably will not get because they're like £10 each if you can even find them in stock anywhere. And I don't got that kind of money. But today we're going to be working with the the Prime flavour rather, that I have kind of been most scared of because it's not been easy to actually think of something to make out of this, but I've done something. So without further ado, let's get drunk. Like I said, this has not been the easiest cocktail to figure out because according to the bottle, this is a mix of cherry, lime and blue raspberry. So here we have the back, cherry, the front, lemon, because there is no, well, there is, but I haven't got it, lime and blue raspberry. I've essentially kind of just tried my best to work with the flavours that we've been told we've got and create something out of it. I don't know if it will taste good, because this especially is quite an overpowering flavour. It's a cherry liqueur as opposed to a cherry vodka, whereas these two are vodkas. So it's a little bit lower percentage, it's 30%, whereas these are 40, maybe 37.5. That's 38, and this is probably much the same, 40. So they are a little bit higher percentage than this one is, but I'm sure it'll taste fine. But before we make the cocktail, let's give them a try. It smells a lot like Tropical Punch Powerade or Tropical Punch flavoured anything, really, for that matter. In fact, it's a little bit reminiscent of I forget the flavour, what it's called, but the blue Skittle that I did in my Skittles Infusion video. This flavour here, which is actually, now that I look at it, it's called Tropical Punch. It does smell very similar. This has a little bit more of a sour note, which I would put down to the lime. That one, like normal, is a little bit more of a sour flavour or scent than this is. Doesn't smell too bad, but I'm not overly excited because I'm not a big fan of the Tropical Punch flavours. The vodka got a very low score in the Infusion video, and while I was in the US I did try Tropical Punch Powerade and I didn't really like it. It has got a very nice colour to it, that kind of cloudiness, which I like. It lends itself nicely to a cocktail. And again, the can is a little bit lighter than the bottle is. It doesn't taste how it smells. It is actually quite nice. You do get lime, and I would say you do get cherry. Struggling to find the blue raspberry though, but it's nice. Now this is similar to the strawberry watermelon, that it's not quite as sweet as this one is, which is the same for everything, but not because it's got more of a lime to it or less cherry, it's just that it's got less of everything. I am still more of a fan of the less sweet approach, so I do prefer this one, but this is definitely more flavourful than this one is. Right, let's get these cleared up, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about the cocktail I've designed. You might notice I've got a blender in front of me, and that's because I figure, seeing as this is based on ice pop, which I assume would be what we in the UK would refer to as an ice lolly or something along those lines. So I figured we might as well try and make a slushie out of it. Now, I've never made a slushie at home, I don't have a slushie machine or anything along that line, so I don't think it's going to create that nice velvety smooth that you get with like an icy in the US, or what we would just call a slushie or a slush puppy in the UK. But we're going to try our best. I've got a big bowl of ice here that is in slightly bigger chunks that I wanted it, but I'm not really sure how to attack this. I think our best bet is to make 2 separate cocktails rather than try and make 2 batches of the alcohol side and then add the cocktail to it, because with this flavour we can blend this into the ice, so it might work better, whereas this flavour we're going to have to add it to it. So I'm going to try and create quite a thick slushy mix that is almost like a snow cone, and then add this to it, mix it in with a spoon, rather than try and make it a slushy in here, because that will blow up. Don't put carbonated drinks in a blender, it doesn't work. So we'll start with the bottle, because I think that'll be easier. So we're going to go in with an ounce and a half of our cherry liqueur. It was a little bit closer to 2 ounces, but that's okay. 1.5 ounces of our blue raspberry vodka, and then 2 ounces of our lemon vodka, because I'm not going to go in with any simple syrup or any lime juice or anything, because I think the sweetness of this is good, especially for a slushy type cocktail, and I think the lemon vodka should actually. I'm just going to do a shot of this quickly, half for fun, half because I want to make sure that it is as sharp as I remember it being. Yeah, it'll do. It's not quite as sharp as I remember it being, but it'll do. So we're going to do 2 ounces of this to make up for that lack of lime juice. There we go. And now that's created quite an interesting looking colour. It's almost, when I swirl it like that, I don't know how well you can see, but it's almost green in the light, which is interesting. We're going to begin with the bottle, but first thing, before we add that, I'm going to add our ice, which we're just going to go in with a couple of big chunks first, and blend that first. I'm going to blend this and see what kind of consistency we get from this. Now straight away you can see that that's not a slushy, that's still just liquid. So another chunk of ice, and we're just going to keep adding ice until it creates that consistency we want. I'm going to be honest, I think this is going to be the worst cocktail we've made yet, because just looking at that, that looks rank. And I didn't quite think about the fact that adding ice to it is diluting it, and then we're going to dilute it further. So I think this is just going to be shit, to be honest with you. But we live and we learn. Now that is a bit better. Still a little bit too, you know, liquidy. So once again, more ice. It's still not what you want, but it is quite close. So because it's getting quite full, I'm going to do half in there. I'll probably add a little bit more back to that in a sec. It is getting pretty close. When you pour it, you can see how close that is to being a slushy. So hopefully this last blend will just give it that little last bit of ice that we need. There we go. Now I'd say that it's close enough to a slushy.
Many minutes later.
And that's close enough. Now what I'm going to do is I honestly have no clue what I'm doing. I'm making this up as I go along. I'm going to set this to the side for a second. I'm going to go get another one of these glasses. But what we're going to do is we'll do half of that and half that. And it's still got some slushiness to it. Right, I've got another glass. It'll be alright. There we go. and top that with the energy can. Beautiful. I'm not going to bother garnishing them, they look shit. No, let's not kid ourselves, they do look shit. I don't think any form of garnish can save these slushy cocktails. But for a first attempt at a slushy cocktail, I don't think it could have gone much worse, let's be honest with ourselves. But at the end of the day, we've got alcohol. I'm just like rubbing the ice because it feels funny on the outside. We've got alcohol, we've got a cocktail, we've used prime. It'll do. I could probably do with a straw. And also, I don't know if you can see that, but the ice is floating. Like the actual slushy aspect is just floating on top. So it is not much of a slushy. I can't be asked to get a straw. Cheers. Yeah, that's about on par. It looks like shit, and it tastes like shit. Yeah, that is a 100% swing and a miss on that cocktail. Just double check, make sure. Actually, that one's very slightly better. It's still shit though. Yeah. No, I'll say it, that's our first failure in terms of cocktails on this channel, other than half of the Skittles vodkas. But that's, you know. So the moral of this story is, slushy cocktails can work, but there are definitely better ways to do it. And I'll have to refine my formula a little bit, because the big problem with both of these is that it's just way too diluted. No matter how much alcohol I add to this, you'll never be able to make it into a slushy, because for every bit of alcohol you need so much ice to make it a slushy, and the ice will just dilute the alcohol. There must be a way to do it, because people do slushy cocktails all the time, and I will figure out how to do it. But for this one, if it looks like shit, and it tastes like shit, what is it? Shit. We'll just try again next week. And not this, we're not trying this again. This didn't work. I'm not paying another like £3 per bottle and can to fuck up a slushy cocktail again. Forget that. But we'll try again next week with the next instalment of the slushy, not the slushies. I'm in a fucking like, it's overtaking my brain with the prime cocktails. But I'm not one for being wasteful, so I'm gonna go drink this and this. But please remember, always drink responsibly, and more importantly, do as I say, not as I do. Cheers.